Hello, I'm Jake Watkins, and I'm going to show you how to set up your workstation to do Terraform development on Microsoft Azure. So if you're watching this, I assume you want to learn how to do Terraform, but you figured out that before you can do anything with Terraform, you have to get your workstation configured so that it'll do anything against an environment. And by environment, I mean anything from AWS to Google Cloud to Microsoft Azure, even your on-prem environment. You can do Terraform stuff against all of those, but you have to have your configuration set up correctly for whichever environment you're targeting, or all of them. So that's what we'll be doing here. Now, in my case, I switch back and forth between macOS and Windows. I'm using a Mac Studio, it runs Parallels, so switching between Windows and Mac is just, an app switch away. The difference between the setup between the two is very minimal. The package managers are the only differences. Once we get past that, we'll be in PowerShell and using Azure CLI for everything. So don't be impressed. It's trivial. Now, before we go any further, though, I do want to be very clear. All I am doing here is setting up your workstation so that you can run your Terraform scripts against Microsoft Azure. I'm not going to really talk about how to write Terraform resources. I'm not really going to talk about how PowerShell works and how to do various things in PowerShell, and I'm not really going to talk about Azure CLI either. We're just going to set up our workstation, get everything configured so you can type Terraform apply and have it update your Terraform environment with a resource group. Once we've done that, we're good to go. And in other videos, we'll go deeper into what we're doing with Terraform, how PowerShell does stuff, and what all you can do in Azure CLI, which is pretty much everything. So that's enough waffling. Let's get down to a command prompt and get to work. All right, so here we are on my Mac, and we're going to go ahead and get started. So the first thing you're going to do is we're going to bring up a web browser, and we don't need to Google this. It's just brew, there's an E in it, .sh. Hit enter, and here we are in Home Brew, and they conveniently give you the command line to get Homebrew installed on your Mac. Now, up front, my Mac already has it installed, but we're going to go through the motions anyway. So we go ahead and paste that down, and then you hit enter, and it's going to go check my machine. It'll see that I already have it, and it'll probably, if there's new stuff, it'll update it. So, it's not a bad thing for me. Excuse the dogs, but life with a small pack of German Shepherds. So, bop, we're all installed. We're good to go. So we can type, just to test it, we'll do what they said, say brew help. Voila, we're good to go. So we're ready to start doing the install of all the tools we need. Now, once again, for instance, I've already got Terraform installed. See, it'll come up, blah. But I'm going to just show you, it's trivial. Once you have brew installed, we're going to install PowerShell, which, by the way, guess what? I already have PowerShell installed. But we're going to go ahead and do it. Goes through. And again, there's a good chance it's going to update my installation because I don't know when I installed PowerShell last. So, boom. So, looks like we're good to go. So, summary. So, brew, clean up PowerShell. Yeah, we're all good with all of this. So next thing is, I've already got Visual Studio Code also, but I could keep saying everything we're going to do, so I'll probably repeat myself regardless, but just doing this, it's not, what? Oh, helps if you spell things correctly, right? So, install. We hit it. It goes in, checks out, and it'll update your code. So it's not bad to do this occasionally. So give it a moment. All right, so as you see, I fast forwarded, but here we are, and it says, oh, the app's already there. So in this case, their package won't update Visual Studio, which of course, Visual Studio Code. And the truth is, Visual Studio Code updates itself anyway. Again, to install the Azure CLI, did you spell it right? Yes, you did. So off we go, checking, and lots of packages. So there we go. Azure CLI is installed. Go ahead and install Git. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Good to go. So type Git just to check. So there it is. And last thing is to install Terraform itself. Boom. What? Oh, yeah. So it's already installed. So, okay, we're good to go. And that's all the setup for a Mac that you have to worry about. We're ready to go ahead. And I'm going to switch over to set up Windows. So give me a moment. Trap is going to town. I got them new tennis balls, and he's absolutely going nuts with it at my feet. So, pardon me. Anyway, so we're going to bring up our web browser again. We're going to go to chocolatey.org. And along here at the top navigation bar, we see install. So we click that. And it's going to come up and give you a bunch of directions on installation. One thing, pay attention. You need to run in an administrative shell. But they give you this nice command line. You just copy it. And so, like I said before, this is a brand new install of Windows. I've not actually done anything on this. So we search for PowerShell. Okay, so fine. There's a couple of takes before this, but I haven't really done anything on this. So we're going to run as administrator. Say, yep, let's do that. And here's PowerShell. We hit Control V, hit run, let it do its thing. And in a moment, we'll have Chocolatey. Woohoo! So we can just hit Choco, and see, there it is. So we're good to go. What we're going to do from here is almost exactly the same thing we did on the Mac. This time, though, we don't have to install PowerShell because, hey, PowerShell's already here. So, let's see. Choco install VS Code .install. So that's going to install VS Code for us, which is the best code editor available. Nothing else compares. All right, so VS Code's installed. I should be able to type code. Nope, I don't have that shortcut set up. Oh well. So next, we install the Azure CLI, hit enter, and once again, install everything. Kick back, let it do its thing. It'll take a moment. So I'm going to fast forward again. Okay, so I should be able to type AZ just to see that it's there. Really? Should be added to my command prompt. So let's see, or just to my paths. So let's bring up another instance. There we go. That's better. And so that's installed. Is Visual Studio Code installed? It makes sense, seeing this shell here, it's not going to have the new path. So that's where I goofed. So anyway, get out of there. We don't need that right now. Come on, go away. All right, so we've got code. We've got Azure CLI. Install Git. All right, so Git's installed, and let's close some of these other windows because it's distracting. We'll do, nope, oops. Choco install, what's the last thing? Oh yeah, Terraform, the whole reason we're here. So get this guy installed. Once again, keep saying all because you want everything. And there we go. So we're done with this prompt. We'll type exit. Let's just test it out again. That's interesting. We can just hit this one since I've already run it. Terraform's here. Git is here. All right. I've installed all of the tools, so we're good to go there. The next step is we have to do the configuration. So we're going to go into PowerShell again. So, there it is. There, that's good. So first thing we're going to do after we futz around and get this so it looks nice, we're going to log into Microsoft Azure. So AZ login brings up a web browser. We're going to log into my account, and it's going to come back eventually, and it shows that I'm associated with a couple of subscriptions. Now, truth is, behind the scenes, this account is actually associated to several tenants, so I had to futz around and specify the tenant ID that I actually wanted to log into. But if you've set up a trial Azure account or whatever, you won't go through that. So, and I'm not going to go into further details. Just behind the scenes, making this it's been fun because of the fact of everything I've done with this account. Anyway, so here we are. We're logged in, and we need to specify which subscription we want to work with. Now, you may only have one, so it's not going to be a big deal. You can do AZ account list, and it'll show you everything you've got. And then another one you can do is this. Minus query. And it'll show this is my default account. What I'm going to do here, because we're going to be using this subscription a lot, we're going to do this. AZ account list. We're going to get the default subscription. We're going to pipe that into outstring, which just kind of does a little formatting behind the scenes. And we're going to convert it into a PowerShell object. I said I wasn't going to go into a lot of details about PowerShell, but knowing how to do this little thing is really useful. So the Azure CLI stuff is constantly returning JSON. So if you do this, boom, I now have a PowerShell object that represents my subscription. We're going to use this guy a whole bunch. First thing we're going to do is we're going to go account set subscription .id. So now we've told Azure, we've told the Azure CLI which subscription we're going to be using as we execute all the commands. Because like I showed you, I've got several subscriptions associated. My work account has even more. So it gets ridiculous. So this sets the context for all the commands that are coming. And we now have $subscription holding that information. We're going to be reusing it later. So let's clear the screen. We're logged in. So the first thing we're going to need to do is we need a key vault, because we're going to produce a bunch of secrets in setting up our configuration. And the funny thing that I get into, this is like if you give a mouse a cookie, there's like, oh, we got to do this, but before we do this, we got to do that, and before that, we got to do this. And that's what this entire video has been like. So I need a key vault, but in order to create a key vault, I first have to have a resource group. And in order to do the resource group, I'm going to go through some additional steps that you can follow along and have a unique name for your resource group. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to generate a random number. And I know I said I wasn't going to go into details with PowerShell, but I'm not. I'm not really explaining this. You can figure this out really easy. So I'm just saying, this is kind of dumb, but it's good enough so that you can do this as well. So now one of the things with outstring, you can end up with a new line which isn't really a number. So we're going to strip that off. So now we can see that we've got res number, is 2,626. So our resource group name is going to be, I'm going to use my initials. You do what you wish. And we're going to use res number. Boom. So res group name. There we go. And now let's create our resource group. So I'm creating everything in South Central US since I'm actually in Texas. But you can create this stuff wherever you want. It really doesn't make a big difference. So we reuse our resource group name, which once again, we're going to be using a lot of these variables as I continue through this. So we've created our resource group. We're good to go. Now we can create our key vault, which again, let's see. Yeah, no, I should Pascal or camel case this stuff, but who cares? Again, I'm going to do G, and we're going to use res number here. So these things, they all have to have unique names. So what is it? $, Key Vault name. So there we go. Yep. AZ Key Vault create minus resource group res group name and the name of the key vault. Did I do that right? It helps if you spell stuff correctly the first time. I'm not even going to edit that out. Boom. Because you're going to do the same. Everybody does that. So this takes a second to go, but it's not too long usually. I recommend learning how to work with key vaults. They're wonderful for keeping your secrets and other things and using them to configure your applications, which I am already working on a video to go into details about that. So I'm going to shut up and probably fast forward this. All right, our key vault has been created. So the next step is to create our service principal that we will use with Terraform so that it's able to authenticate and create resources in Azure. So we're going to call it TFMSI, and yeah, we want to store it in a variable again because we'll be pulling back these values. So command azad, so Azure Active Directory, service principal, create for RBAC. Name, we'll just call him TFMSI. What else? He has the role. Let me check the command line real quick. So you can go here, just type AZ ADSP create for RBAC. Yeah, no reason to. Yeah, they're all double dashes. It's contributor. And then the scopes is going to be the first place where we reuse subscriptions. It's even plural, telling you that you're going to end up with multiple of these guys. Now what I'm doing here, I just can't get away from not giving details, but when you're accessing an object ID and you're doing string concatenation like this, you have to wrap it in a $ parentheses so that PowerShell knows that inside of here is a PowerShell expression. So it'd be like your C# curly braces inside of a string for string substitution. So we do that. Again, out string, pipe, convert from JSON, and close the parentheses. Off it goes. This will take a second if I type the command right and didn't put any typos in there. Looks good. Woohoo! We got it. And here's why. Now, by the way, as I do this, all of this stuff's going to get deleted when I'm done. But you can see all the details, the app ID, the password. So app ID is your client ID. The password is actually client secret for OAuth. We have the display name, tells you which tenant it's going into. So these are the details. We stored that in this PowerShell variable or PowerShell object so that we can pull this all back as we need. So here's why we created our Key Vault. We're going to put all of this stuff, the subscription, that tenant ID, the client ID, the client secret or app ID, password that you see on the screen here, all of this stuff goes into our Key Vault. So we go Key Vault secret set name, we'll call it client. Oops, I like to do this, TF client secret. Vault-name, $. Oh shoot. Let's go back up here. Key Vault name. So Key Vault name, and then the value. TF MSI dot app ID. Did I do that right? You know what? I did not. That's client secret, so I needed to do password. So we're going to reset it. It'll override it. I'll show you the Key Vault in a moment when we're all done. So we've put the secret into the Key Vault. Now, go back here. We want client ID. Now the command line's right. So we got client ID. We've got the secret, the client ID. Now I need my subscription, which I don't prefix. Oh wait, why am I doing that? Go subscription.id, save that, and then we do tenant ID. Oh wait, subscription, pretty sure I got that right. Yep. All right, so those are the 4 Key Vault variables we need. All right, so let's go take a look at the Key Vault. So just paste in the thing because I don't want to navigate through all of that. And here's the resource group we've created. Here's our Key Vault. We go in, we have our subscriptions. And so earlier I goofed up and I put the wrong value. And see how we have 2 versions. So this has the value we want. So I'll go ahead and show it. Yep, that looks like a secret. So the Key Vault set up, we're good to go here. Now, one of the things that you're going to get into is you're going to need to put these things into environment variables constantly. So I'm going to clear the screen again. So what we're going to do here is let's make a directory TF. Really? Wow. All right. So it seems it's switching back and forth. Really? Oh, there's nothing in the directory. So we're going to go tf set env.ps1. And what I'm going to do here, the reason I'm doing this is you will want, go ahead and install that. So we've never used this Visual Studio Code, so it's going to be installing stuff constantly. I'm going to cheat, pull this off my clipboard. So I've pasted in this script, and first thing is we need to put in our key vault. So we go JKW vault 262. Huh, all right. Is that right? Yeah, that's what's shown in the background. Now, here's the thing. This initial version of the script, this will work. As a matter of fact, let's save it. And hey, it's really cool. Within Visual Studio Code, it gives me a terminal so I can run all of my stuff. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to run this guy. Oh, yeah, you can't do that. And after we run it, let's take and look at, what was it? ARM_subscription ID. You notice those quotes? You don't want those quotes. Those are bad. So what we're going to have to do is fix this script. So we put those in, put it in parentheses. We're going to use replace, and we're going to strip off those quotes. So let's grab that. And we got to do it everywhere. So save it. And let's do this, right? Host $env. Yeah, there we go. Shoot. Right host. Client ID. Now I'm just doing this for debug purposes. In general, you don't want to be presenting this stuff all the time. But we want to verify that we don't have those quotes. Much better. Clear the screen, and at this point, we are configured. We're ready to go to test out our Terraform install, and we should be able to do stuff. We need a sample, something to do a little something with Terraform. So the first thing we're going to do, well, to help you do that, everything we've done has brought us to this point. Terraform's all set up and configured. So when you're working, typically, you're going to come in. First thing we'll do is tf set env, which, we've done this before, but we're going to load all those secrets into environment variables. Clear the screen. Now let's go ahead and jump down. So in the repo we just configured or just cloned, I have some scripts and things for you to look at. You can reuse. The demo Terraform, all this does is sets up a resource group in Microsoft Azure. So when you get this to test out, we're going to go Terraform init. And this just initializes the directory, gets the Azure provider loaded up, and anything else that your Terraform scripts are going to use. set up, and when it's done, you're ready to go. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create a new workspace called Dev. And finally, we get to do this. Terraform, apply, and -auto approve. And the reason I include the auto approve is otherwise it'll do all this stuff and then ask you, hey, do you really want to do it? And yeah, I'm just skipping a step. And if we've done everything correctly, you'll see stuff like this. And boom. So our resource group has been created, and that's that last line there. It tells us the name of our resource group. So I should be able to come here in my Azure console, click this, and we'll have to refresh, and here it is. So we've created the resource group, everything's up, and you're now ready to start writing Terraform, doing cool things with it. So that brings us to the end of this saga. Like I said, if you give a mouse a cookie, that's what development really is. So we've made it to the end of the video, and like I said, give a mouse a cookie that's just detail after detail after detail. In this, we set up a workstation, whether it's Mac or Windows. We installed all the software you need. Then we went through, I showed you how to configure so that you can use Terraform with Microsoft Azure. And finally, we did a simple test, just created a resource group in Azure using Terraform. Pretty straightforward stuff, but it gets you all set up so that you can move on to do real Terraform work, set up SQL Server, deploy websites and Azure functions and service buses, all that cool stuff that you can do with Microsoft Azure. You're all set up, you're ready to get into that stuff. And I will be putting out videos soon to continue this track. Hopefully my goal is to do a video a week. We'll see how that works. And towards that end, I'm going to beg your generosity. Could you give me a like and a subscribe? I'd like, the more interaction I get, the more motivation I'll have to keep going. It's not easy doing this. The editing, there were so many goofs in that. You saw all the blurs. Well, there's a ton of secrets that you go through. So anyway, getting warmed back up to doing this stuff. The way you do it for Pluralsight's somewhat different, and I forgot a lot of those things, but I now remember. Anyway, I hope you like this. Drop the like and subscribe. I'll keep saying that. And comments, and I'll see you next time.